Imagine a world where every emotion is monitored, every gesture interpreted, every deviation punished, not just by law, but by thought itself. A world in which freedom is not outlawed because it is dangerous, but because it is meaningless. In George Orwell's 1984, we are not simply introduced to a totalitarian state, but to an entirely new kind of tyranny, one that doesn't merely rule through violence or fear, but through the annihilation of truth, memory, and the very architecture of the human mind. At first glance, the novel seems to be a warning about oppressive governments, but Orwell's genius lies in how deeply he probes the psychology of control. Totalitarianism, as depicted in Oceania, is not sustained by brute force alone, but by shaping reality itself. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. Orwell foresaw a political system in which facts are fluid, history is rewritten by the day, and language is engineered to make independent thought impossible. In Oceania, truth is not objective, it is whatever the party says it is. This principle, Orwell called doublethink. To know and not to know, to be conscious of complete truthfulness while telling carefully constructed lies. It is the terrifying ability to hold two contradictory beliefs and accept both. It's not far from what we see today in polarized societies, where tribal identities override reason, and individuals can believe two mutually exclusive things, depending on which echo chamber they inhabit. Orwell's portrayal of newspeak, the systematic simplification of language, reflects the danger of what cognitive scientists now call linguistic determinism, the idea that our ability to think is limited by the words we possess. Remove the word freedom, and over time, you remove the very concept of freedom. Without words, we cannot rebel, we cannot even imagine rebellion. Orwell took inspiration from Stalinist Russia and Nazi Germany, both of which used propaganda and revisionist history to reshape perception. But what he could not fully predict was how voluntarily we would surrender to surveillance. In 1984, telescreens watch you from every wall. In 2025, we willingly carry them in our pockets. As Shoshana Zuboff writes in The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. Our clicks, emotions, and attention spans are monitored, sold, and optimized, not to serve our needs, but to shape them. Winston's rebellion in 1984 begins not with a weapon or protest, but with a simple subversive act, writing in a diary. Freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 makes 4. If that is granted, all else follows. That single sentence, a declaration of objective truth, stands as the last refuge of sanity in a world collapsing into cognitive dissonance. Orwell understood that tyranny begins in the mind, and that language and memory are its first victims. The infamous Room 101 isn't about physical torture. It's about breaking the individual's grasp on reality. It's psychological disintegration. When O'Brien forces Winston to betray Julia, it isn't just a betrayal of love. It's the death of the inner self. Orwell wanted us to ask, what happens when truth becomes a political tool and facts are no longer fixed? In such a world, morality, justice, and even sanity erode. As Hannah Arendt would later write, the ideal subject of totalitarian rule is not the convinced Nazi or the committed communist, but people for whom the distinction between fact and fiction no longer exists. Today, misinformation spreads faster than facts. Deepfakes erode trust in the visible world, and our digital lives are shaped by algorithms we cannot see or understand. The ghosts of 1984 are all around us, not as dictators, but as code. Orwell's book does not end with hope. Winston is broken, not redeemed. But the lesson is hidden in that bleakness. Resistance does not begin with revolution, but with clarity. To think independently, to speak precisely, to remember. As Orwell himself said, The further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those who speak it. The survival of freedom lies not in weapons or elections alone, but in the stubborn will to say, 2 plus 2 still equals 4.
If you found value in this video, if it helped you see something differently or think more clearly, consider supporting the channel by liking the video, leaving a comment, and subscribing. It helps the message reach others, and it helps us keep creating work that matters. Thank you for watching.